Peace, peace. Islamism. First and foremost, I want to rise, giving praises to the most highest of the highest, most divine living source of life, who we refer to as many names, but is known to the Muslims in America as Allah. Arm, leg, arm, head, and the source of all life. Incomprehensible, causeless cause, rootless root, that would cause us all to grow. Islam to all true divine prophets. We honor all divine prophets. Jesus, Confucius, um, Muhammad, Buddha, and the modern prophet for these times, Noble Jew Ali, El Ashraf Abdul Ali. Islam to all the grand sheiks, all the grand governors of the Moorish science. We give thanks to all active Moors, 720 Moors. Islam, Islam, Islam. Peace. First, we gonna tap into it and give a call to one of the good brother that actually put me on to this Moorish science. Brother have been a real brother to me, you know, and I give honors where honors is due. Islam. Yeah, Mo. I'm live right now on the stream. I just wanted you to check it out. I don't know how to send invites, so it's More Views Media. I just want you to tell me if you see me. But the Grand Sheik need assistance, you know. So we just gotta. Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah. It wasn't making me do it on my phone, so I had to do it on my laptop. But I set it up. Alright, let me check now. Hold on. Let me go on my computer. No, you could check on your phone. I'm gonna hang up. Alright. Peace, Muslims. So today, I said we should go over a few things dealing with the birthright nationality of the Moors and what have been taken from the Moors and what should be done for the Moors to basically gain back their inheritance and their lost estate. It's critical because a lot of people don't see the importance of that. Because people think that, man is a color. People think that man is, what I'm saying, just the physical shell. People think that man is just, what I'm saying, something that we just create in our imaginations in the shadow of thoughts. And we just got to figure out what it truly is, man. So, according to the lesson, the prophet taught us that man is not the what? The flesh, which is the carnal self, nor the soul, which is the immortal mind, which is the essence of what is, and also man is the spirit. So what I wanted to get into was the difference between, okay, yeah, you could see me, Islam to the Mo. Oh, snap. Our brother Flyingo up in here, man. Zama El Bay. Give thanks. Give thanks, Mo. Give thanks to the Muslim. Worldwide. Give thanks, you know. Oh man, I forgot the K on thanks. But correction to that. I'm gonna just send it with a Z. Oh snap, Muslims. Okay. Islam, happy holy day to the brother Supreme L. Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've been trying to figure out for the longest. So I'm just trying to just do something different for the Moors. A lot of Moors is not really up to par with the technologies that we have at hand. And what I came to realize is like, really, we do need to study because a lot of Moors really is not into studying because we get so caught up with everyday life, day to day life, that we just fail to take time out for self. And that's why we have holy days, you know. So holy days, what that do is just okay, Islam to that, Noble. Got something good this weekend. We are looking forward to that. Seeing that Supreme L. We got brothers coming down, Cujo coming down to our celestial vibration when we honoring them during this time. Not on no commercial level, but you know, we honor our mothers 364 slash 65. And we know that the mothers are the highest beings because we acknowledge the mother as being the highest self, period. Because when it comes to the higher self, we know that the higher self is the mother of virtues. And we know that the mother is the only thing that brings forth what is, that causes all to be. And mother is not a physical thing either, because mother is actually the beyond. Mother is actually the eternal, the incomprehensible, because we could all tell where we're from as sons, but for us to identify the mother's origin, that's impossible because time never was when man was not. Islamism. So we deal with the spirit and truth. And what I wanted to get into, I got a bill on this Geneva Bible. A lot of people are not familiar with the Geneva Bible. I was able to download an app on my phone dealing with the 1599 version of the Geneva translation. And what I came to find out is that prior to us being called Ethiopians, within the 1611 version of the translation of the Aramaic or Proto-Canaanite text dealing with the um the recorded scrolls that our ancient forefathers had left for us. The word Moor was being used before the word Ethiopian was being used. And that's why the prophet said we're not Ethiopians. Because we was Moabites before we was being called Ethiopia. We was Moab. And we know Moab, that's funny more. My birth mother name is Geneva. Word, Islam. You see that? There's no strange happenings because we know what law governs all of us. And our people has been gathering all this over the years because we see that this is the awakening, man. The brother Yahshua, who we call Justice, had broke that down. Him and John when he was getting the lessons from Mathino, letting them know that like at this point, you know, we are entering a new age, and this age is going to be the age of preparation of the soul, and where we're going to be reigning in the kingdom of Emmanuel with the holy breath being in man and man activating that consciousness, being able to tie himself back, thus he knows. So we could trace ourselves back in time. Time never was. So yeah, There's a chapter in Jeremiah, the 13th chapter, verse 23. It speak of can the blackamoor change his skin, or leopard his spot? Then may he also do good that what are accustomed to evil, to doing evil. So in that particular chapter slash verse, in the King James version, it reads, can the Ethiopian change his skin? And you remember the King James was translated in 1611. So that's what 12 years later. They go to 12 years a slave, right? Because we know that we was free people before they started reconstructing our history. So there's another verse dealing with Jeremiah, which is chapter 38, verse 12, and it says, and Ebed Melech the blackamoor said unto Jeremiah, says, put now these old rotten rags and worn under thy armholes, says, between the cords, and Jeremiah did so. We know Ebed was the blackamoor. Another one is Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 30, verse 9. And it says, in that day shall these messengers go forth, which is angels, for me in ships, to make the careless Moors. Okay, so there's such a thing as careless Moors. We call those Moors what? Dirty Moors this day? But the prophet Ezekiel was calling those Moors careless Moors. And in that day, he was making a prophecy. And you know, the ship is the body. Messengers is the spirit, which is the angle of light dealing with the angels. And we know that we are the angels because what? What's the modern name? What the modern name for those angels? Asiatics. Does the Moorish American have any relations to those angels? Yes, we have. We all have the same mother and father. So we know that the angels are guarding the holy city of Mecca to keep the unbelievers away. And we know that that holy city is the temple. And the temple is where man dwell. So we dwell in the holy city of the living Father. So we know that what? There's only one temple, one prophet, and one Allah. And we all in union as the triune, what we call wisdom, will, and love. Because Allah is the consciousness which created all, which is the art. And you know, the will is the force that drives forth the boundless universes that causes all to be, and the love is the manifestation of it all. So we are the love. That's why we are Moors. And in Moorish Latin, if you say I'm a Moor means love. So we've been dealing with this science for ancient days, and time never was. So you know, truth changes not, nor does it passes away. We know that the holy breath is forever. So the brother Ezekiel in Ezekiel chapter 30, Ezekiel, okay, there go the Moorish appellation again, Ezekiel. Chapter 30, verse 9, it says, in that day shall their messengers go forth from me in ships to make the careless Moors afraid, and fear shall come upon them as in the days of Egypt, for lo, it cometh. Didn't the prophet warn us about this dreadful day that yet to come? If we don't get straight and narrow on this path of uprightness, because he said, my Moors are what? Fearless and upright. So the uprightness is what the prophet is really was trying to get the Moors to do. Because he said it would surprise me to see a Moor to do good. And he said he could count on one hand how many more is going to be saved and still have fingers left over. So the prophet was still warning us like all the other prophets was warning our four brothers and four sisters in those days when, you know, times started getting dreadful and we started straying away from our birthrights, from our customs, from our divine principles. And every time these ages like cipher, we always get a divine spirit, a holy one that is able to manifest from amongst us that look like us to like basically put us back in check and guide us along the way. So with that being said, Moorish American is a true nationality, and we know that all Americans are identified by a national descent name first, and then their citizenship, which is the government in which they live. And also, that is recognized throughout the nations of the world. And we know that Northwest Amexem, North America, North Africa, is actually modern Egypt. And we know that Egypt is the capital dominion. And we always dwelt in the capital from since ancient days. If you trace yourself back, thus you know. So we was the only Roman Empire, of course, Holy Roman Empire. We was a Holy Babylonian Empire. We was the Holy Kushite Empire. We was the Holy Byzantine Empire. So every empire that we dwelled in, we always find ourselves being returning back to our divine creed because throughout the ages we always end up straying. We always end up like start doing what we want to do, you know, like we get that whole feel like, okay, yeah, I know I'm a god. We know we are all deities because all living manifestation of the thought of Allah is deity made. It's a deity made flesh, which is the holy breath. So we know that we are spirit man made flesh. So we know we have the will because that's what the spirit do. The spirit just will to be free. That's where the concept comes in, where they say that we have free will. Even the angels have free will. I had a debate a couple years ago with some Christians because they was trying to tell me that angels don't have free will. Okay, so let's go into the records. So according to the records, right, five planes of thought fell, which is man, beast, earth, plant, protoplasm. And the record said angels fell not, nor the cherubims. They kept their ethers up. They kept their ethers up to remain in harmony with Almighty, the Allah, which is the All. They kept their ethers up in the balance. But guess what? Some of those angels decided they wanted to do what the man did, which was start vibrating on a lower frequency. Not only that, but started doing things outside of the harmony of the all. Because when we're dealing with universal principles, there's such thing as order and balance. And that's why we represents the seven to the degree of the seven dealing with the Elohims, because the Elohim is the one that keep order and balance in the universes. That's why we know that when we say the cherubim and the seraphim rule the stations of the sun. That's them holding their post, keeping order. And the Almighty Allah govern the solar stars. So we know that without Allah, all this wouldn't even be anyway, because Allah is the all. So if Allah governs the the solar stars, and the cherubims and the seraphims rule the stations of the sun, As soon as one of those angels lose their post, that's considered to be a fallen angel. And according to the records, right, we ask what people represent the lower self. And it says what? Those that were cast out of the holy city and those that accept their teachings. So if we know that angels were cast from the holy city, meaning they debased themselves, meaning they discontinue from their posts or from their vibratory rate dealing with the order. Angels done that. Man have done that. Earth have done that. Plants have done that. Protoplasts have done that. Beasts have done that. But we know that the angels also have done that. And that's why we're able to receive the information, because the angels had to come and give us certain things, because man was going to be lost forever if the angels didn't come with divine intervention. And a lot of them did it at their will, even though it went against the order of all. And a good movie that demonstrated that was a movie that I seen years ago and it resurfaced. It's also on Netflix right now. The Moors could check it out. It's called Legion. And in that movie Legion, the brother Michael, came down, and when he came down, he ripped off the yoke off his neck to show that he's removing himself from being on post and going against the order of things, because he saw a greater good in humanity of assisting the other Elohims that had fell. So how could an angel intervene? An angel intervened by doing what the prophet did. By what? Making themselves a living sacrifice for the greater good. And the prophet went against his divine order or post. He could have just said, yo, I'm leaving all these senseless, careless Moors who don't know who they are, who just gonna like just go down the path of destruction and not come to our aid to give us these secrets that was being held back by the Muslims in India, Egypt, and Palestine. He said, nah, I desire for my people to be free. I love my people. And if that requires my life being a sacrifice, I'm gonna do so. Allah willing, inshallah. So shall it be. Mashallah. As Allah said it is, so shall it be. And the brother did what he was supposed to, even though it went against his divine order, because he was already an angel. Why would he even want to make himself non-angel and come into this earthly form to produce a so-called impossible task? But we know that, Allah's arm is not weakened, so there's no possibilities that cannot be fulfilled by a spirit man. So by the man debasing himself from his heavenly abode, from his native plane, and coming into this physical plane just to prove the possibilities of man, that's power all by itself made manifest. And it's only the Logos that could pull that. That's why the prophet said those that was with me 2,000 years ago are still with me today. Because you know that it's love made manifest that man could comprehend. And only people that could do that is angels, period. And an angel that does such a thing is a high angel, meaning an archangel, which is a seraphim. And we know that the seraphims is the one that brings the message and also do the warning. And the prophet was an archangel based on his title, El Sharif Abdul Ali. If you look up the title Ali, Ali means the exalted one, and also mean high, which is the most high. And we know that the only beings that come from the higher planes are those that are of the arc order of things. and they come with a certain wisdom that is beyond this realm, and their teachings have always been of teachings that is universal, because they know the times. They already studied the ages. They are actually time travelers, because they know that time never was. So they are able to go into the different ethers from in and out of the higher planes. So that's what the lesson that the Yahshua also brought the brother Justice, when he was basically saying that his body transmuted and he could manifest in the higher planes at will and cross the borderlines. So that's what the prophet was doing. And he came and showed us that it's possible. So there ain't no spook God, because we know that our Father, Allah, actually dwell within us. And whenever he need us to get certain messages, he also speak through the voice of man. And he said that what? Perfected man is going to be the oracle of Allah. So if we want to be a vessel that Allah speaks through, we got to also keep our heart pure, you know? We got to keep our heart pure, because we know that purity is the one that paved the way for love divine. And on this holy day, I know I'm freestyling, and I'm just giving my measure based on my level of consciousness on the studies that I've been delving into. This is something that I want to be doing moving forward for the holy days. I just was testing it out, and so far it's working according to what I expected. So we're gonna have a temple meeting on Sunday. We're gonna have brothers from Philly. The brother Cujo gonna be in the house. Temple 10, Neptune territory, Grand Sheet, Nature L Bay. We're gonna have the brother Cujo coming down from Canaan land. He's gonna be amongst the Moors. We're gonna have Seton Ra Bay from Philadelphia, Shaker Mexham territory, gonna be in the house. We're gonna have possible. I'm just gonna put it out there in the ethers. Possible Taj Tariq Bay gonna be in the house. So we're gonna be streaming from this channel for the Moors who cannot make it physically but want to be there spiritually, and be in the fine tune in the vibration that we're gonna be bringing on that day, which is May 12th. We're gonna have a great measure to convey to the Moors, dealing with the sciences on many levels, from adept levels to regular levels. But we know we're gonna have nothing but masters in the house. So I think anybody that's willing to be available around the time frame of what, like say afternoon, 1 p.m. straight back to like 4 or 5 p.m. is going to be a great deal of measure that's going to be conveyed to the Moors on May 12th, which is this Sunday at our temple meeting, Neptune territory. We having like a lot of Moors coming out. So peace to the Moors. I give you thanks, Sheik. Peace and love, fam. We'll stay tuned in every holy day. Okay, Islam. Peace to that, brother Supreme L. And like I said, I'm gonna be traveling out to DC territory, Washington DC territory very soon. And I'm gonna hit you up when I'm out there, so I can actually build with the brother in physical form. Instead of, I know a lot of Moors have their little personal things that they deal with, and we still got a nation built in physical form, because there's a great deal of vibration you pick up from Moors when you actually go in their presence. And I felt that when I traveled to Canaan land in January. I traveled for the Prophet solar return in January, and wow, that was a great experience, man. We was able to travel on land, and we traveled through the custom borders, And, a lot of the border patrol, they're not familiar with the Moors traveling on land like that. Majority of the Moors that actually travel out to Canada, I'm not saying, excuse me, it has been a normal thing, but based on what I've experienced is that they haven't been used to seeing Moors traveling from, you know, nation state territory to nation state territory. And I traveled at my full capacity. I was in full life. I had my title on my documents, and I had my headdress on and everything. And a few Moors was with me and like three, four other Moors, and they was traveling at their capacity also, headdress on and everything. So they received us not so pleasantly because they try to, what I'm saying, hold us up at the border for over six hours and stuff. And it was just trying to see if we was gonna be able to maintain our patience and our humbleness. And we did so, Allah willing, and we was able to show them that we are true nobles and we not on that nigger mannerism or dealing with any, what I'm saying, folly, because we only trying to like connect with our brothers and sisters on the land, period. So they realized we was true nobles and they was able to, I'm saying, like release the Moors after try to detain us without really saying that they detaining us, but they held us at the border for over 6 hours. But when we finally made it into Canada, it was like a breath of fresh air out in Canaan land. Met up with all the Moors out there, man. It was like home all over again. And the Moors received us, and it was a great vibration being in the presence of the brother Grand Sheik Cujo and all the other brothers that was there, you know. And they actually keeping their yearly barbecue in July around Independence Day. So I think it's the 6th of July, if I'm not mistaken. So we gonna be traveling back out there for that. As you know, it's always good to nation build. Yeah, we love the Moors. We have a few visits that we're gonna be traveling and doing. When I say we, I'm speaking about the Moors from my particular temple and my particular body of Moors dealing with the Neptune, New Jersey territory, New Jerusalem. Yeah. So peace to the gods, peace to the Elohim. We already know that true Moors are always going to be active and not passive because we live this. We don't talk about it, we be it. Because at first, man could believe, but when you believe, it's something that you think perhaps is true. And then when you get to the next level, you got to have that faith. And, faith is something that without a shadow of doubt is true. And then when you get to the level that you're supposed to be who you say you are, that's you enter into fruition. And the prophet spoke about he need active Moors and not passive Moors. What the prophet was really trying to say without saying such, because he said if he gave us enough or gave us all, we would go back to sleep. So he just gave us enough to wake us up so we could continue doing the work of studying. And he said, when man knows himself well, he knows of what will pass away and what won't pass away. So the passiveness keeps you in belief. A lot of people don't know that that's what being passive does to you. Because when you remain in belief, it's like you're not trying to go out there and test the movement. Like you basically just being a observer of all the things that is possible, but not a participant. And a lot of Moors get timid when they go out in the world or in the society and being themselves. Like you shouldn't be timid about being yourself because the prophet came and gave us everything we need to save a nation, which he did. He saved the nation. So he saved the nation, and then he said, "Take what I've given you, take what I've given the nation, and use it and save yourself." And he said he came to teach us how to be ourselves. And the only way we could be ourselves is by studying ourselves. And if we're not like confident enough to go out in society, especially, you know what I'm saying, wearing a headdress out in public because you think people gonna make fun of you, or you think, you know what I'm saying, somebody gonna ask you questions that you ain't even really have the answer to, then you really need to be studying, because there's a lot of people that acknowledge the Moors, and there's a lot of people that don't acknowledge the Moors. But there's a lot of people that need to know about the Moors, and they not really like informed, because the Moors are not out there. The Moors are not actually being themselves. Like like when I came into this information 3, 4 years ago, and it's always going to be 3, 4 years ago, because I'm speaking about the third, fourth generation Islam. So when I came into this movement eyes wide open, I said to myself, there's nothing more than being free. Like the teachings that the prophet brought was a breathtaking, man. It was breathtaking to the point where I ain't never heard no philosophy like that in my life. I've studied various aspects of truth, but when the prophet came, he actually summed up the truth in totality. He gave us the blueprint. He said that if we are not careful, right, 50 years from now, we won't even know he's here or he was here. And he said 50 years after that, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff that he brought, we won't even acknowledge it, because a lot of Moors are passive. Exactly. He said it would take you 50 years to figure out what I've brought you, and 50 more years you won't even know I'm here. And the only reason why he said that, because he already knew that there was a lot of Moors that was against him in those times, caveat emptor. And he said that they was jealous of his fame and nobility. So he knew that there was Moors that actually was against him. And he spoke on that. And he knew that it's not true Moors. So he spoke of, he calling all loyal, faithful members and American citizens to help me in this divine and national movement. So if he knew he needed help, and he knew it's not everybody was going to help him, because he said even the Europeans was helping him. He said, if the Europeans are helping me, why not you? And this is your problem. Meaning the European are being their self. A lot of people don't even get it. Like when the Europeans came here, a lot of people would say that they denied their birthright and all of that, but that has been false, because even though they claim to be Americans, they actually acknowledging their European descent also, because most of those people in congressional office, they have to be an next American to actually be in office. Just because they don't speak about it publicly, but it is well known, because you cannot be a president if you're not what, a national descent American. That's why Obama had to acknowledge his Kenyan heritage and his root. That when he spoke to the known world, he had to say, I'm Kenyan American. Like the brother Trump, he's German American. Like a lot of people look at them and say, okay, they're not Americans. No, they're not Americans according to the definition of what a true American is. But they had gained citizenship by way of the government that was established prior prior to them getting expelled out of what the 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 people would call Europe to this day, because they got expelled, and a lot of them was us, melanated, and then afterwards the pale ones came afterwards. But They never denied their nationality. They actually annexed it. That's why they was able to be so successful in establishing their independence, because they knew what it took to establish independence. And you're not going to be supported by your forefathers and foremothers if you're not in honor of being who you say you are. So that's why you have Italian Americans, Irish Americans, you know, um, Portuguese American, um, British American or English American or whatever you want to call it. And these people have not denied Polish American. They have not denied their birthright, but we do. And the prophet spoke about that. And to me, that's being passive. And if you're not making it known to those that actually are Americans and claim to be Americans just because they born here, but don't have a national descent name, they are being classed as undesirables, and they are being mistreated to this day. Like I met a sister the other day, she was an elder, and I was talking to her while, conducting my commerce, doing commercial driving, and she saw my headdress. She asked me if I was a Mason. And a lot of people, they familiar with the Masons wearing the fezzes and all of that, which is fine. I never really see Masons wearing no headdress, to be honest, because I ain't never seen no Mason out in public walking around with their headdress. But they know of the headdress being worn by Masons because they have Masons in their families. Like they have an uncle that's a Mason, or their dad was a Mason, and they just probably see the headdress just laid out on the dresser somewhere, or he may you wear it to go to his private lodge meetings. He would throw it on. But as far as them being out in public, I ain't never seen no Mason walking around with no fez on in public, man. So I was telling her the difference. I told her that, yeah, I'm my son, I'm my mother's son. But as far as being an oath taking lodge Mason, as far as how they look at the tradition of that society to be, I'm not that. But I am that. But I'm more. So when I told her I was a more, she was like, "What's that?" And this sister was an elder. So I was like, "You never heard of a more?" She said, What is a more? A more, is that love?" And I said, "Yeah, a more is a love. Yeah, that's what I am. I'm love." And she started smiling. And then I actually had to speak to the sister because she really didn't know what a more was. So I gave her the definition, blackamoor. I gave her the Merriam-Webster Dictionary 1828, and she looked it up. I gave it to her. She saw it. She's reading it. It says, any dark-skinned person, especially black. And then she looked at it and she was like, "Oh, so that's us." And I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "But why we don't call ourselves that?" And I said, "Exactly. Why we don't call ourselves that?" And I said, "So what is your nationality?" And she told me she was African American. And I said, "What year did our people started calling ourselves African American?" Because I know you're familiar with all the different names we was being used or called in ourselves throughout the years. And she was like, "Yeah." And then she said her ancestors or her forefathers were slaves. And I said, "What?" I said, "How could you say that?" She was like, "Yeah, my people were slaves." And I was like, "Wow." And I said, "Did you know that slave is actually a national identity? Like, you really have to know these things because you cannot say you're a slave if you was never a slave." She said, "Well, my people were slaves." And I said, "Nah, that's not possible." So I showed her how the more, which is the true identity of the people that's calling themselves black in the definition of black or more, when it showed the compound word being broken down in italics, where it gives you the more, the black plus the more, and the black written in all lowercase, and the more written in the proper form of a noun. She didn't really remember all that stuff too, because it's been a while she's been out of school. So she was like, "Well, I don't know what's an adjective." So I said, "An adjective is something that describes a noun, or a thing, or a person, or an idea." So she was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "A noun is the identifier, meaning what that is." So when she looked at the word black or more and she seen the italics, she said, "Oh, so you're saying that we're not black?" I'm not saying that. That's what the definition says. I'm not saying that. I'm just showing you what it really says, because we speak English, but we don't read English. And we don't know that English is the most spellbound language, because it's rooted in so many different root, dealing with the context of the topic, or the particular subject matter that you're discussing, because every single subject matter has a different root that you got to go into to really get the proper, like, correspondence, to have the comprehension of what that is. And I was showing her that, like, even when you're dealing with law, you know, like, when you say you read in English in law, that's non-cipher, because in English, law is rooted in Latin. And if you don't know that, then you're gonna be lost in translation, because you're gonna be reading and you think you know what it's saying, and you really don't know what it's saying. And that's what I've been trying to open our brothers and sisters up to. Each word in English language has a double meaning. Exactly. And that's what I was showing her too. Like, the words have double meanings. Like, you could think it mean that way, but it's like this double-edged sword. And that double-edged sword is the symbol of the serpent Isin. And the serpent is the whisperer. And the whisperer is one that could say something, and from Mount Vernon, Islam. Good dot peace. Peace to the brother Gagut. Islamism. Happy Holy Day. So I was showing her, like, even the word, like there. Like, you could say over there, but somebody could say there as being there, like, try me. Or there as in there, like those people. And even the word more itself, more has various meaning to it, various meaning, all throughout different languages. And she's seen that too, because even though the word more is English, when we say more, it's English, yes, but it's rooted in other languages. And it depends on the context or the subject matter in what you're trying to convey what a more is. Then you could deal with more on that level. Because if you want to go into all the different roots, you could do that also. Because we know that more means various things depending on the root that you're dealing with it on. And one of my favorite roots that I like to deal with it on is the Moorish Latin, which is love. And not only the Moorish Latin, but the Proto Canaanite Aramaic, what they call the Hebrew, which is light. And more actually mean the light bringer, or the light bearer, or one of light in Hebrew, Proto Canaanite. And we know that what? The sun is not Allah. Thus is his noblest image. It enlightens the world. So that's what we are as Allah's son. We enlighten the world, because we bring this infinite wisdom and teach people all the different aspects of Allah as far as we could comprehend Allah, which is wisdom, will, and love in the highest form, because only the Moors was the ones that was able to tap into that source information, because we are the guardians of it all. We are the custodians of it all. So in ancient Kemet, Moor is also known as the high priest of Anu. So the high priest of Anu came from the order of Melchizedek in the Hebrew. And we know that Melchizedek is an order only because there was various beings that came and was speaking on that order throughout the ancient world, and they was bringing certain information that was not privy for that time, meaning they are time travelers. And the reason why the prophet gave us time never was when man was not, because he knew if we could go back into the mind and go back to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers and go back into that land of fleshless things, mind never forget, we were able to trace ourselves back. And our mastermind does know. So we know that time never was, period. And the Moor has always been the navigator. Because if you break down what Moor is, it's actually light that moves. Consciousness that travels. To be is actually a phrase that means future. So we are from the future and we are from everlasting. So from the everlasting to everlasting, we've been traveling to infinity and beyond. So the thought is Allah is infinite. And as sure as Allah lives, man cannot die, spirit man. But we have to be proud of who we are, because when we step out into society, people actually acknowledge us as being the light, because the message that we bring as the angels is enlightening to them, and it brings clarity to certain things that they may have questioned, but they never knew how to convey it or to break it down or decipher it. And our brothers and sisters would always be needing our assistance in uplifting, rather it be just a virtuous word of peace, a virtuous word of love, a virtuous word of truth, a virtuous word of freedom, and a virtuous word of justice. It will help for the totality of where we trying to go as far as this divine and national movement concerned. So I say, peace to the gods, peace to the Elohim, high homage to the prophet, because the prophet has really brought us everything we need to save the nation and everything we need to save ourselves. With that, I'll leave as I came, in the order of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, wisdom, will, and love. That I say, Islam, Islam, Islam. Peace.